What's going on, people? As promised, CP3 live from the lab, coming to you for Sports on the Hill podcast to break down this trade for Alex Smith, third round pick, and Kendall Fuller. I'm waiting on Dujunnea to chime in, so I invited him to the joint, and boom, there he goes right there. And let me bring him on. You earlier. You heard a little bit of the bits and pieces we were getting into, breaking down this trade and how it impacts the Redskins. We're going to go through it bit by bit. We're going to break down the first part, the Kirk Cousins aspect of this trade. In my opinion, this is a perfect timing for this to happen. The team has time to get a plan together. They know who their quarterback is going to be. They know what they need to do for free agency and the draft. So some folks were saying that they think it's kind of early and they were shocked that it happened this soon. But I feel this was best for the franchise and best for Kurt, for him to find a home for him and for the Redskins to move forward through all this drama. What about you, Dujunnea? What you think about the Kurt, how this affects Kurt?
I feel the same way. Like I said earlier in our earlier little short bit, that it was much needed. This team had to move forward, and it needed to make that move in order to basically be able to secure free agents and things like that, so that you actually have a plan and show them that you have a plan and a quarterback, to be exact. So this is a good deal for the team and for both teams that were involved. And now this can be put behind them. They have a quarterback, and they are very similar. And now they can build this team the way that they have been working towards all season, since the 3 seasons since Jay Gruden has been here. So this is a very good move for both squads.
No doubt, no doubt. So expanding on that a little bit, with Alex Smith coming in, is already talking about he's going to sign a 4-year extension. There's been some folks complaining because he's 34 years old, and with the Kendall Fuller aspect, you're giving up a 22-year-old guy that was on his way up for a 34-year-old quarterback that hasn't had that much playoff success, even though the numbers that he puts up has been, pretty decent. But I look at it as, if you put weapons around him, he's a game manager, and he doesn't turn the ball over. I saw a stat today comparing Kurt and Alex Smith numbers. Alex Smith had 8 less interceptions and had 9 less fumbles that led to turnovers. And those are key things that this team needs. Now, you're more up on the college game than I am. So with this move being made, do you think the Redskins are going to be going after more offensive playmakers to give him people like the number 10 out there? I can't remember his name right now. Number 10, Tyreek Hill. And, them shifty, quick guys that can turn a 5-yard screen into an 85-yard touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, you could go that route. You have the Traquan Smith, UCF product there. I had an opportunity to see him at the Senior Bowl as well. And if you're not familiar with this UCF, and even with college football, to be exact, it's very, very, very tough to really know what's going on. But though there are playmakers out there, when you look at the Senior Bowl, if you had an opportunity to watch that game, that was a really good game there, and a lot of good players there. There's so many ways now that this team can go, though. You don't necessarily have to go offense or defensive playmakers. You really have it, the gambit, the ball's in their court. And I wrote that in an article. You guys can check that out at redskinswire.usatoday.com. And it's talking about the direction now that the draft and the free agency market is for them, and what they can do and what this does for them. It really is opener. It's a game changer now, and they're not going to be tied to worrying about spending that first-round pick on a quarterback. They can look at possibly getting a playmaking running back. We've seen what that's done for football teams such as the Vikings. Kansas City is a team. You look at Jacksonville getting Fournette. So there's a lot of different things there that they can do, in the draft, maybe even trading back. Who knows? But, yeah. They're going to be able to get some playmakers and get some guys that can help Alex Smith and build upon the talent that they have there.
No doubt, no doubt. I saw Mark Moore was chiming in. I guess he's displeased about the Kendall Fuller aspect. He's asking about the secondary. But as you mentioned earlier when we were speaking about that, we haven't gotten to that part of the trade yet. But you said that the college draft is deep with corners and the free agent market is deep. And now that we have, this whole guaranteed money, $125 million, all of the stuff that we were up in the air, now that we know what our quarterback is going to make, now we know where we can put the money where it's needed. So just to give a quick rundown, I know you mentioned some names on the offensive side. Just throw some names out there from the Senior Bowl cornerbacks that'll be available to address the issue, even though the team did lock up Dunbar and we still have Josh, we still have Fabian Moreau, and we still have guys on the practice squad. Now all of a sudden, all the fans are clamoring because Fuller's gone, but they don't know that the cupboard is not bare, that we do have talent there. But go ahead and expand on some of the college draft talent that's coming out now.
I mean, if you look at, I won't even go to the college aspect of it. I was just looking through the free agency market. Malcolm Mitchell is available. I saw a guy here, Keith Talib. I wouldn't want the guy. He's volatile. He's volatile. I don't know how him and Josh Norman would gel, but he's an option. So, I mean, you can't deny that. He is an option. You look at who else did I see out there? That was you got DJ Hayden. There's quality guys out there that you can put in the slot. You can do many things with. And again, you were talking about the guys they have on the roster. So let's not forget about those guys as well. They're versatile. They can not only play, a few of them can not only play safety, but they can also come up and play corner as well. So again, that cupboard is not bare. And quickly, I don't want to jump ahead, but I did see a question about it being Barkley or Chubb. And I think both of those guys are home run hitters. If I had my choice, I'd definitely go with Barkley. I don't think you can not get him if he was there at 13. And if that's your plan, if you want to trade back, maybe get another pick like they did last year, was able to trade back, get an extra pick, you can do that. But I think everybody knows, the fans know that a running back a quality running back, a home run hitting running back would be viable at that 13th spot and could be justified in spending that pick on that, especially if one of those two guys are there. And it could be a game changer for Alex Smith.
No doubt, no doubt. We're definitely getting more. Yeah, you broke up a little bit there, but definitely we'll get into the college aspect a little bit later down the line. I saw someone mention about Zach blocking up Zach Brown. I totally agree, but I'm not sure. I've heard some things that he was insulted that they didn't offer him a contract already, so he's going to test the free agent market. I don't know how true that is. I haven't been able to stay up on my Redskins news lately with all the hockey and that basketball going on. But what have you heard about the Zach Brown situation? And do you think if he tests the free that the Redskins still have a chance to get him back? That's the agent.
Something I had seen is that I did see that particular story, and I've also heard the other side of it, that none of that is actually true. So here we are with the he said, she said type of deal, and you know how it is. People are still trying to create the narrative that there's drama in DC and in the front office area and with players, and whatever. I think that's always going to be there. I think Zach Brown is a guy that you can get back. I think he would love to be here. I think you're going to have to pay him a little bit, but he's proven that, he can be paid a little bit and deserves to be paid a little bit. He had a great season, had over 127 combined tackles, 2.5 sacks. And the Redskins haven't seen a guy like that in the middle since one London Fletcher.
No doubt, no doubt. Marcus said Alex Smith and Chris Thompson would, he questioning. I think that'd be a great, duo. Thompson is coming into his own. Someone asked about play calling. We've spoken in depth about Jay's play call.
Yeah.
I mean, with now Smith and him being a game manager and not turning the ball over and making smart decisions on the field, I feel a little bit better with Jay's play calling style with Alex out there because, as I mentioned, Kurt had the costly interceptions and fumbles when the pressure gets to him. So I think I'm not going to jump out there because it's still premature, but I'm a little bit more comfortable with Jay's play calling and Alex Smith at quarterback. So what about you, Dujunnea?
I have to agree with you there, and we've talked about it, and we kind of agreed and disagreed at times on the calling aspect of it. I'll address some of the questions here. Something about offensive linemen and offensive line help. I like what they have. I think they can either address it in free agency, but they honestly, when you look at the free agents out there, they are a little bit older, and some of them are in question. Luke comes to mind over there. Seattle as a free agent hasn't really played that well over there in Seattle. Not sure if that's the combination of the O-line or the fact that he can't get it done. And they really don't need another Sean Laval situation. They do have guys that they can slide over there, and you can draft a guy as well. With Jay's play calling, though, I think Alex Smith fits a little bit better with some of the things that Jay likes to do. He can and will take chances down the field. I think that's something they talked about, putting those stats side by side, how many times Alex Smith has thrown the ball down the field and challenged down the field. That's something that Kirk was a little safe on, and probably a part of the reason why he did not get the contract in the several years that he was franchised. That had a little bit to do with it. And, I think that'll help. One thing with Alex, though, he does have the tendency to run when he probably should take his time and maybe let things develop a little bit more. But I will take that. And I've said this time and time again, you look at their stats, look at their numbers. The differences are the interceptions are virtually the same guy, and they got the guy that they needed for the price that they wanted. And that's what's important in all of this when you look at it. And you lose Kendall Fuller, but again, I've said it time and time again today, since early this morning, fielding questions. This is not Deion Sanders. They did not give up Deion Sanders, and I understand the youth aspect of it, and I agree with fans on that. But in order to get something, you must give something. And unfortunately, let the truth be told here, they botched this, then put themselves in this particular situation. But you have to pat them on the back and give them credit for doing the right thing and being smart about it and not getting yourself backed up against the wall in free agency come league year and overpaying for some jabroni that is not nowhere near what you had. And you had an opportunity to get Alex Smith, and let it be known that six teams were, garnering Alex Smith's services. And I think, with Andy Reid and his history, he allowed Alex to have some say-so on where he wanted to go, because the Browns actually offered more.
That's some good inside info. Now let's get into the Kendall Fuller aspect of it, because I know that's what's the big thorn in the side of most Redskins fans. People don't realize.
Yeah, I see Donnell Head saying that right now.
That's why I'm about to address it. Take a step back, people. Think about it. This was a 4th-round pick that was already a steal at that position because of the injury he received in college. Now he's played up to his potential. He is the number one. He was rated the number 1 slot corner in the league. And the Redskins were able to use him as a tradable piece to close this deal. Now, I understand the talent aspect and the youth aspect, but you have to look at it from the franchise side of it, people. This was a great move by the front office. You turned the 4th-round pick into a bargaining chip for a quarterback to solve an issue that you've been having for the past 3 off seasons. So take a step back, take the emotion and the fandom out of it. This was a great move. The talent pool is deep on corners. You just heard the man say that the defense is coming out of college is good. We have draft picks. So you have to take it in perspective. This was a business move. And it was
Absolutely.
It was a savvy business move. And I'll get to you, Dujunnea. You was talking about, you broke it that the Redskins would be getting a 3rd-round compensatory pick. because of the situation. I know we didn't really get deep into it, but if you add that aspect to it, we basically got a quarterback for Kendall Fuller since we're getting a third-round compensatory pick back. So I'll let you break that down a little bit, Dujunnea.
Basically, yeah. And this compensatory pick, I've been searching, asking questions, and the compensatory picks are, let's just say, the formula is like, I don't know whether it's top secret, but they don't tell you how they come up with this formula. But the fact of the matter is that the Washington Redskins are losing a top-notch guy who's played a lot. He's going to garner a pretty good amount of money because of the way the market is, and they aren't going to get anything in return. This guy's going to walk free agent, and they're going to lose a quality guy. So what ends up happening is they will get a third-round pick in return. It will be in 2019. And they will be able to have that compensatory pick. It will be at the end of the running order, though. It's not one of those, and it's not a pick you can trade either, from what I understand. So, it's compensation. And at the same time, you got a Pro Bowl quarterback for a guy a year ago people were saying was a bust. So let's not get it twisted there either. And again, we said it before. You look at this roster, and as much as Bruce Allen, Doug Williams, or mainly Bruce Allen, gets a lot of the discredit for some of the idiotic things that he has done, he should get some credit for, along with the former GM who is no longer here, for the talent they brought in. Like you said, Fabian Monroe, you got talent there. This team had 20 IR folks, and most of those guys were on the defensive side of the football. So, not using not using injury as an excuse, because there's tons of teams that had injuries and were able to be more respectable. But at the same time, this team did what it had to do in order to get a quarterback that can still continue to move this franchise in at least a respectable direction, while they continue to build the talent pool that is absolute necessary for the process to continue to go on and for this team to continue to move forward. And they got it at the price that they wanted to. And they weren't going to pay more than that, because I'm gonna tell you right now, if they overpaid for Kirk Cousins, the Redskins Nation would lambaste them for that. They were in a tough situation. There's no doubt about it. And Brian, real quick on the Breland thing, that's a possibility. Now you have the money to be able to do that. He's a quality guy. Is he sometimes inconsistent? Yes, but I think he gets a lot of criticism, but not enough credit. The guy is fierce, plays hard, and if you can keep Breland, then now you have a guy like Fabian Monroe. You have Dunbar that can be in the slot. There's a whole lot of rotation guys there that can happen and be able to take that spot. And see, what's so important about this is the depth aspect of it. And everybody, you hear it and see it, it say, oh, there's no depth. The Redskins have no depth. Well, you know what? They lost like a ton of people, and they were playing practice squad guys. They had guys coming off of planes, showing up the day of, coming off of planes, going through walkthroughs and going in the game, and hadn't even had a day of practice. So, I mean, for where they were earlier in the season, this team really could have done a lot more if the injury bug, I mean, it more than bit this team. I mean, it was almost a pandemic. But they have talent, and if they can continue to build upon that. And I've been preaching this several articles now about the trenches. If you take care of your trenches, just look at the teams that are in the playoffs and look at the trenches of those teams. They're pretty solid. Jacksonville to be named as far as the team that went from nothing to something. And in this league, it doesn't take much. It doesn't take years to turn it around. It's proven that you can turn it around in a year. This stuff, it takes years. Give me a break. If you do the right thing, you can turn this thing around in a year's time. And they have the ability to do that now. It takes money, guys. It takes money. And now that they have that, It's going to be better for this franchise, and they can move forward in getting a game plan for free agency, getting the proper game plan for draft, and hopefully fielding a team that can contend for the NFC East.
No doubt, no doubt. We see how Philly, they in the Super Bowl, they turned it around, and the same thing happened here in Washington D.C. Mark,
real quick, Carol, there's a question there from Chris about Doug Williams' involvement in the front office. And I can say from that standpoint that it's a three-headed monster there. It's not one man is in charge. It's kind of a consulting team, and then they come to a decision. And it seems like this decision-making process has worked well, but Doug does have involvement. I'm not sure if any of you caught any of the earlier Senior Bowl practices that were televised, but there were guys, along with Jay Gruden, I believe Doug Williams was there as well, checking out the talent down there and the talent pool. So he does have a lot of involvement in what's going on, and it is basically a team or a team decision-making process there, but he does and is involved in the front office day-to-days as far as players and whatnot.
No, I just saw someone who was Alex Smith going to throw to. I mean, you got Chris Thompson coming back. You got wide receivers is locked up. You got Harris there. Crowder I believe Crowder's a free agent there. Working on that deal probably. You got Jordan Reed coming back, and before everybody starts chiming in about him being injury prone and not being on the field, I'm gonna say it again for the folks that didn't hear me the other 200 times I said it. Jordan Reed was a quarterback in college. That's what he was going to college to be. He converted to tight end at college.
That's a tough move.
If you say he's soft, yes, he is, because he's not getting used to getting hit by linebackers and safeties the way he's getting hit in the NFL. But he's a game changer when he's on the field, if he's catching the ball or not, because the defense has to account for him. So everybody talking about getting rid of Jordan Reed, bad football move, bad business move. He's locked up for 3 more years. He's going to be here. He went on the IR early. Hopefully he'll come back healthy and can stay healthier. Now,
I say that Reed for a milkshake. I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you this, though. Look at the free agency market out there, and 2 guys come to mind for me. I'm not a big Sammy Watkins guy, but I am a big Jarvis Landry guy. And if you could somehow pull Jarvis Landry away from the Dolphins, you couple that with Doxson, who had some moments. He had some moments, and he's, again, his second year was virtually his rookie year. This year was his rookie year. So you couple that with a guy who is proven, can stretch the field, kind of like a D-Jax, and to me, better than a D-Jax, stretches the field, enables them. He's a sure-handed guy. And then you have Crowder in the slot. You have a Mo Harris that can come in. You have a Ryan Grant that I think they need to keep. The guy's been sure-handed, kind of Art Monk-esque as far as catching balls on third downs and needing critical third downs. I also think a guy like Niles Paul needs to come back. His special teams abilities, his ability to be able to play and be that guy that can be either shelled out to the outside as a number 2 or in the slot, or even at the tight end. He's versatile. So I think he needs to come back as well. But when you do all of that, and you can get a guy in free agency, or you could go to the draft and get a really tall, big play wide receiver, a guy who can go up and get it, and also stretch the field, that's going to be a game changer. And I think Alex Smith, though, is going to also be a game changer in the fact that he's pretty accurate, guys. He's a pretty accurate guy. He's going to take a little bit more chances as far as getting the ball down the field and letting his receivers make plays, and trusting them. He's not, and with that extension now, he's not going to be playing as if he's concerned about whether he's going to get that next contract. He's going to be here for at least 3 years, so he's going to grip it and rip it, and that's the kind of guy you want to have being able to just go out, play football, and trust his guys to make plays. And, hey, you get a running back, and with this really, really solid offensive line, I think you got something there.
No doubt. Chris Howe said he thought Landry was more of a slot guy. Landry can play inside and outside. He's tough. He goes across the middle. He has sure hands. He blocks on the run. He's a physical dude. I don't watch a lot of Miami football, but one of my partners is a fan, and I did watch, and that dude is a physical specimen, and he's young. And Donnell, he also chimed in about, was it him? Yeah, about Breland. I mentioned about Breland before. When Breland plays man, he's great. He's not a zone corner. And unfortunately, because we weren't getting pressure on the quarterback, we had to run more zone, and that's when he got exposed. So you can check the numbers, but you got to dig deep into the numbers to see when pressure was done, when they were in man and when they were in zone. And one more thing Donnell said about excuses about Jordan Reed. That's not an excuse. That's reality. If you were a quarterback and never been hit like that before, and you're in the NFL against the biggest, fastest athletes in the world, getting smacked going across the middle, you're going to get hurt. And I understand availability, but I recall a couple of games at the end of the season before where he caught no passes on the game-winning drives, but the defense still had to account for him. And if you also don't know, Jay Gruden's offense is run through the tight end. You get rid of your best tight end, his offense goes to crap. So before you talking about trading people and throwing people away, you got to look at the impact on the field and the strategic aspect of it and what he brings to the table and what it brings to that offense. It's more than just him not being there because he's soft. No, he's been there. He got that 5-year extension for a reason because the offense goes through the tight end in Jay's offense. So, like I say, y'all can complain and whine all you want, but it's X's and O's. Brian had a critique on your Brian Grant. He said he likes Grant, but don't ever mention him at Armand. I mean, but that was a solid comparison, I think, because he's quiet. He goes out there, does his job. The fans don't really know much about him. Most of them don't like him, which I don't know why. But he goes out there and does his job and hasn't, caused any issues. So I think that's a compliment.
That was my thing, and it was his shorthandedness that you could count on Ryan Grant. There was many times where the receivers just weren't bringing the balls in, and you go to Ryan Grant in a clutch situation, a situation where sphincters are tight. You need to have this, and he's come up big for them a lot in 2017 in those situations. So that's what I meant there. Not saying he's our monk by any means. But when you look at what he does as far as his dependability in those clutch moments, it is kind of reminiscent of Art Monk.
No doubt. And Mark, the strength and conditioning coach, Jay's nephew, John Gruden's son, is already gone. So I heard that he's on John's staff in Oakland. So let's watch out and see what they do with how healthy they stay next year, because he damn sure ain't do a good job here. And I'm glad that he's gone. And I hope they get a quality person with NFL experience, because I'm not blaming him for the broken bones and the stuff like that, but all of these soft tissue injuries, that goes directly to your strength and conditioning. Simple as that. Now we're gonna get back to the trade aspects of it, but with this trade going forward, we spoke about how now we have the cap situation. We know what's going on with the quarterback. Now the team can go forward. What do you think? Like we spoke about the draft a little bit. I would love to see him go after a nose tackle. Like I said, I don't know much about college, but I heard it's a nose tackle that might be available at 13 that could be a game changer. You put him beside Allen along with McGee, switching them out. Don't know how much longer Ziggy Hood's going to be available. He's in his 16th season. So I would love to see him go defense like they did last year. But what do you think with this move right here? Do you think might be their mindset right now?
Man, I'm sure that I think what their mindset is right now is like, boy, the pressure's off, and we have any way we can go. I see you, Chris, and I agree with you on that. That was one of the guys that I was going to mention. That guy at West Virginia, Villa, is amazing. You look at the Alabama defensive nose tackle, another guy that can push the pocket, dominates the inside, and really bottles up bottles up that run, clogs up that middle, pushes the pocket back into quarterbacks, and that'll enable a lot of guys like Ioannidis. You look at Ryan Anderson, who will be able to come on because of Zach Brown. You look at what Ryan Kerrigan was able to do this year. So those things will help if you can get a guy like that. But I agree with you there, Chris. That guy's a stud. Yes, he's out of Washington. My bad. Thank you. He is a stud. And a guy who really can help this defense and the guys around it. And I've made mention of that in several times as the season has gone into the playoff time and off season for the Redskins, is that this is one area that has been a troublesome area and a long-term problem. And the reason why this defense is so inconsistent and as far as pressure goes, need that nose tackle and that guy that's going to bottle up that middle and be able to control the middle of that defense. And I hear what you're saying, Chris. And I did a stat on that earlier this year about that 4-3. And honestly, they've run more 4-3 style plays than they have the 3-4. They really have been a 4-3 base more than a 3-4 base. And that's all relative at this point with a lot of the things in the NFL, because you can say a team is certain things, but real good coaches and real good defensive coaches will make adjustments to what they like to run to be able to get the best or the best out of their particular guys. And it also takes advantage of what the offense may lack on the opposing side of the football. But if they can secure that middle of the defense, they have guys that can rush the passer. Now your back end doesn't get exposed. And I'll go to the Dallas Cowboys of not 2017 but 2016. Year after year after year, this team doesn't really have the greatest front seven. Their back isn't that good, but they had guys that they could rotate in and out, that they could get pressure on. Now, granted, I know what you guys are going to say. They were playing with the lead a lot of times, and yes, that makes a difference. But you don't have to have the best backcourt or secondary to be good if your front seven is getting after it, being able to push the pocket, control the line of scrimmage, and dictate to the offense exactly what they are and are not going to do. And that's something that the Redskins haven't been able to do on a consistent basis. And you saw that from game to game, and were reasons why late in games that they couldn't close them out, especially on the defensive side of the football. So, hey, this is, again, I don't know how many more times we can reiterate the importance of this deal and the fact that this opens up money and now kind of takes the pressure off of them, allows them to focus on getting young, talented people in here that can continue to increase this upward trend that the Redskins have been going in as far as their talent pool. And again, you can do so much now and be able to build this team and get them back to a respectable playing in an East that really, I don't care if Philly is in a Super Bowl. They're not the New England Patriots. And next year is going to be another year. And if this team's healthy, maybe they've gotten knocked off a few more times than they would have and may have not made it this far. So it's so many things that go into this. And Eric, with the running back situation, I know we talked about that earlier, but I'm a Barkley and Chubb guy if we draft a running back. I've looked through the free agency market. Le'Veon Bell ain't coming to Washington, and I would think that they would be absolutely moronic if they let him go over there in Steeler country, and I don't expect them to do that. They're not that dumb. They're not the Browns, okay? They're not going to make that. They're not going to make that mistake. So drafting a running back in the first round, maybe you can get a solid one in the second round. But again, I am a firm believer of, you look at the teams like Jacksonville, the Minnesota Vikings, the Kansas City Chiefs, who went out and got studs in the first round. Those guys were hitting home runs all season long until some of them got hurt. But Fournette is the reason why they got that far. And if the Redskins got a guy like that, coupled with an Alex Smith, hey, he was with the guy in Kareem Hunt. this year. So, of course, I agree with you 100% there. That is definitely a possibility as well. But we'll see. They have so many options. With that 13th pick, you can trade back, you can get more picks, and obviously get more talent in there as well. So it's going to be very interesting, and it's actually a delight to be able to have this option now and be able to talk with you guys about what the possibilities are now that you have a quarterback at a price that is team friendly and is a guy that is the same guy who you let go basically and different from Kurt. So this is great. No trouble.
I totally agree. No doubt. Totally agree. Hey, man, I love the people chiming in, man. Once again, Dujunnea Bland, USA Today writer, Redskin Insider, co-host on Sports on the Hill podcast. Every Monday night, 7 to 9 p.m., you're going to be hearing more from him. You're going to be hearing more from me. Appreciate all of y'all tuning in. We know y'all love the Redskins, so that's why we had to come out and put this out there. We've actually gone almost 30 minutes, which I wasn't expecting, but we got a lot of questions, a lot of good content, so we appreciate all y'all.
Absolutely.
This is what we every Monday night. We break down. We give you the real deal. We give you the uncut that you're not going to hear everywhere else. They're going to give you that rumor mill, anonymous source this, oh, we think that. Nah, we're going to break down the real for you. We're going to talk to you. We're going to answer your questions. You want to know what's going on? This man knows. He's got the insiders. He is an insider. That's what we do. There are no anonymous sources on Sports on the Hill podcast. We don't do that around here. We talk about what's real. DC Sports without the politics is not just the motto. It's what we do.
Hey, if I don't know, I'll try to find out for you, but I'm going to tell you I don't know. And the bottom line is I'm about facts and trying to get the best content and the truth out to you guys. And that's what's important to me. That's what's driven me all these years and will continue to drive me is being factual, being truthful, and being a source that being with a source that can provide that type of content. And I'm very proud to be a part of the Redskins Wire. So again, I know you guys have a lot of places you can go, but please check us out there at redskinswire.usatoday.com. You can follow me at NotBland21 on Twitter, and follow some of my colleagues there too, Diane Cheeseborough, Lake Lewis. You follow those guys over there as well. 100% those guys are in the building constantly. And like I said, we're here to try to provide a place where you can trust the things coming out of there. No drama, no spin. Just going to tell it like it is.
No doubt, no doubt. But it's always a pleasure, man. I know you got to get ready to get up out of there. I don't want to hold you up too much long. I know you've been up since early breaking this news just like I have been. Man. So, yes, it's been a long morning, but it's been fun though. No doubt. This has been a pleasurable, fun day. With this, like you summed it up perfectly. We got the situation resolved. Out of a bad situation, the front office basically pulled the gem out of their ass that nobody saw coming.
Pretty much.
The team is in the place for it. So with all the hate and all the stuff and everybody putting up the fire Bruce Allen and I'm boycotting the Skins because they did Kurt wrong.
No, you're not.
Take it somewhere else. We not tripping because we understand this team is on the up and up. They're finally making that make football sense and not fan sense. So
and I'm going to leave you with two nuggets. Two nuggets, two gems here that I want the fans to realize. One, Kirk was never an option. He didn't want to be here. Okay? So, I mean, finally, this team, instead of overpaying a guy who really didn't want to be here and who's going to basically take a dump on the franchise and not really play the way he wants to because he's collected his cash and he really doesn't want to be here and he doesn't like the staff, they let him go. And when you come out and have your own charitable press conference, basically, and say that we'll see you in March, well, teams can't do that. It can't do that at all. Not good teams, unless you want to be the Redskins of old who are winning off the field. You can't do that. So this was a excellent move for the team. And regardless, hey, I'm hurt and a little bit saddened by the young man and Fuller being traded. But again, this Redskins Nation should be proud that they actually have a piece that they can use without auctioning off something that is needed for this team. It's an extra. And it just so happened that he had an excellent season and somebody else wants him. Who knows? It may not work out for them over there. But, yeah, it had that piece to get a Pro Bowl quarterback to get the price down so they can do other things. And another thing, and I'll leave you with this, for the first time in a long time, ladies and gentlemen, this team, people were plucking from the heap of the Washington Redskins. From the heap of the Washington Redskins. We're talking about practice squad guys who were plucked off of this team to go play elsewhere. When has that happened? It hasn't happened in a long time. So that tells you about the direction that this football team is going in, and it tells you about, yes, Steven, $17 million. That's important. That is very important. And as much as you call it, I have been speaking about this, and Carol knows I've been speaking about this all playoff long, all the end of the season when Alex Smith was up. I had a gut feeling that that was a possibility and a viable possibility. But again, this team, again, has an opportunity to do something special as far as continuing to build what the fans want. And that's a winner. And I understand that. That's why I understand the uproar about letting talent go. But just take a step back, breathe, and evaluate the situation for what it is. And so here we are with an off season and a draft coming up. We're going to see what Jay and company put together, Bruce Allen and company put together to be able to field in 2018. So, yeah, just look forward to what's coming because I think it's going to be pretty fun to see the things that they can get in free agency and the draft as we get into, some of the off-season program stuff.
No doubt. I'm going to go ahead and use that as a segue. End of March, last week of March is our end of season 2. We'll be going into season 3. There are going to be some changes. We're going to have some more folks. We're going to have some more in-depth NCAA draft. Dujunnea, he specializes in that, but I'm working on developing another guy that's going to be there. We're going to have some more NHRA talk. We're going to have, everything covered. Yeah, we're going to be bringing in new folks. It's going to be more. We're going to have a boxing roundtable. I got some things in the works for Sports on the Hill podcast, people. Y'all been asking for more boxing coverage. I'm going to give it to you. Just give me time. We already got Paul Smith, the boxing guy, but I'm working on another talent that I didn't even know that I had in my realm. But to say that, I'm going to say this. Sports on the Hill podcast, you can catch my man Dujunnea Bland every Monday night from 7 to 9. We're talking Capitals, we're talking Nationals, we're talking Ravens, we're talking DC Divas football, which is going to be starting soon. We're talking Valor football, Arena League football that's going to be starting soon. We cover it all, people. You don't get that on these mainstream stations. You don't even get that on the local stations. Who brings that to you? We do. Sports Podcast, True Radio Network, DC Sports Under Politics. We're more than just radio, people. I'll let you do, Dujunnea. Always appreciate it, man. I'll let you get on the road. I know you got it.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, man. Love having you on. I love everybody for chiming in. Appreciate all the insights.
Thank you.
And I'll rap to you later on, bro. Y'all be safe, be blessed, and I'll talk to you.
All right, guys. Till next time.
All right, later.